How about we toast and we both take a big drink out of our mugs?
It's interesting that the mug itself
No, drink, no talking, just drink it. Drink the water.
Why do you want me to drink it?
Just, please.
It's just interesting that you want me to drink it. Why don't you have a taste of this first?
I'm drinking it myself.
Yeah, but we could have different waters.
Well,
I've seen this in the
You wouldn't be scared of this.
All right.
Not a sip. There you go.
Now, Chris made his first mistake when he told Jon Stewart something like, don't stop. When he said stop talking, that was where they gave him that look. And anyway, back to Harper with that wary beginning. Chris Wallace and Jon Stewart did battle on Fox yesterday. Who won? Well, you decide. You can certainly figure out who lost. David Corn's Washington bureau chief for Mother Jones and an MSNBC political analyst. And up in New York is Alex Wagner. She's a reporter for the Huffington Post and also an MSNBC analyst. Gentlemen and lady, thank you for watching. This is one of the great prize fights of all time in television. Here's Chris Wallace asking Jon Stewart about the politics of a recent comedy routine featuring Sarah Palin. Let's listen.
You take your own shot recently at Sarah Palin. You compared her video of her One Nation bus tour to a certain commercial. Let's take a look.
Valtrex.
As the tour rolls on,
stopping at historic places like Gettysburg,
and then to Philadelphia to see the Liberty Bell.
You know what's cool, man? The way they had reporters finishing each other's sentences. Where have I seen that technique before?
I have genital herpes,
and I try to be careful.
Very careful. Very careful.
Sarah Palin and her herpes drug? Really?
Yeah, as a technique for the commercial? So you're saying that by comparing the technique that she used in her video to a technique used in a herpes commercial,
you were not making a political comment.
You really think that's a political comment?
Yes.
You're insane.
Well, that's strong language. You're saying you're insane? Who's right in that one?
Well,
David Corn?
I thought my advice to Chris Wallace is never try to outwit a true wit, which is Jon Stewart. I mean, Chris didn't look like he brought the ammo to this showdown, to this fight at the OK Corral, which he was trying to wage. I mean,
he wielded a howitzer.
He's up against Mark Twain. Would you get on Mark Twain's case for being tough on slave owners in the South? I mean, I thought it was like two different worlds colliding, and Chris just didn't look like he had a foot in either one.
You know, Alex, I was waiting for him to he was thinking that John was going to say, yeah, you got me on that. Yeah, you're right, I'm wrong. Fox is right, I'm wrong. He was pretty smart in responding to him with nuance. Like, give me a break. Did I actually say herpes was the same as Sarah Palin? No, you're the one that picked up on that.
Well, I mean, I think the contention that Chris Wallace was trying to equate that with a partisan political attack was some sort of fuzzy math. And when it comes down to it, look, Jon Stewart says over and over again, I am a comedian. And in this case, and in a lot of other cases, the fodder on the right happens to be a lot more powerful than the fodder on the left. I mean, you have to look no further than the GOP presidential debate last week. You have Michelle Bachmann saying the EPA should be called the job-killing organization of America.
So
you have Herman Cain talking about Muslims who are trying to kill us. I mean, there's just a lot of fuel there. And so can he be blamed as a comedian for going there for his joke material?
Well, here's Stewart himself distinguishing himself from Chris Wallace. This is very personal. Let's listen.
Here's the difference between you and I. I'm a comedian first. My comedy is informed by an ideological background. There's no question about that. But the thing that you will never understand, and the thing that in some respects conservative activists will never understand, is that Hollywood, yeah, they're liberal, but that's not their primary motivating force. I'm not an activist. I'm a comedian.
All right. I want to thank you for saying that because Baltimore Sun TV critic David Zurawik put it up on the screen, says that is your dodge. Stewart is never held accountable in his media criticism, is he? When he is wrong, he goes into the tap dance of saying he's only a comedian and shouldn't be taken seriously.
Let's talk about that. When did I say to you, I'm only a comedian? I said I'm a comedian first. That's not only. Being a comedian is harder than what you do.
Oh, boy. If that wasn't a swing and a miss, I don't know what was. It's like, oh, we have the Baltimore TV critic. He's going to put you in your place. And guess what?
Who you've never heard of.
He doesn't. I mean, what was Chris Wallace thinking? He couldn't even make the criticism himself. I mean, that's what kind of made this sad.
Your first point was so smart. Alex, you're up against a wit. Jon Stewart, whatever you think of his politics, and I think he's generally right, he's so freaking smart.
Absolutely.
That you cannot take him on mano a mano.
This is stuff that he's thought about. It's not, he doesn't hold a rally to restore sanity without thinking of of the implications of that. I mean, he clearly wants to be something more than just a showman, but at the end of the day, I mean, he doesn't pretend to be that. I mean, he's not a politician. I think Jon Stewart has a very healthy skepticism of the American political machine. I think he thinks it's, in a lot of respects, broken and too partisan. And like some of the best journalists out there, he aspires to keep people honest.
Yeah, my problem with Stewart is I think his attack on everybody, including me and everybody else in our business, is fine. Satire is all important. Keeping us honest, trashing us is fine. But in the end, you have to have something to replace us. You still need elected officials. You still need news people. You still need analysts. These are necessary forces in a democracy. Here's Wallace and Stewart disagreeing on what each aspires to be. Let's listen.
Are you suggesting that you and I are the same? Are you suggesting that what am I at my highest aspiration and what are you at your highest aspiration?
I think,
tell me.
Honestly, I think you want to be a political player.
You are wrong. You're dead wrong. I appreciate what you're saying. Do I want my voice heard? Do I want my voice heard? Absolutely. That's why I got into comedy. Am I an activist in your mind, an ideological partisan activist?
Yeah.
Okay, then I disagree with you. You can't understand, because of the world you live in, that there is not a designed ideological agenda on my part to affect partisan change, because that's the soup you swim in.
Well, that's just that hominum. Okay, can we live with that? He just trashing him at that point. Alex, you first here, you young lady. Let's go to this whole point here. Are you used to this kind of personal back and forth on television? This is rare to be. They were talking to each other, not the principals or the cartoons, but people, each of them.
This felt sort of a holier-than-thou sort of rant, and Jon Stewart looking down from the great mountain of popular comedy at this little Fox anchor and sort of dressing him down, and the soup you swim in. You just get this vision of a gnat sort of swirling the drain. I mean, I thought that was unfortunate. I think it undermined his larger point. And I think, look, he has some legitimate criticisms to lob at Fox News, but he didn't do a very effective job, precisely to your point, Chris, because it seemed so personal and because it seemed almost like a vendetta.
Well, I just thought that the whole thing was a bunch of traps that were put together for Jon Stewart, and he's faster than they are.
I disagree with that.
Okay, go with it.
I think that Jon Stewart just said, you can't touch me.
Okay.
I mean, it was like watching a ballet dancer and an IRS tax auditor. I mean, there was no competition here. He says, you can't conceive of my world. You don't understand me. You think you know me, but you have
Let's try to explicate this poetry. It seems to me that Jon Stewart is saying in his defense or offense, number one, my number one goal is entertainment. My number two goal, which I have, is to make a point.
Right. That Will Rogers, Mark Twain, Mort Saul, a lot of people have done this over the years. There is nothing new about this.
What was Chris Wallace's point? That his number one goal was politics, his number two goal was entertainment. What was it? Alex?
It was his point was that Fox was a viable alternative to the, partisan rhetoric that's being espoused by certain channels and people like Jon Stewart. But I think lumping Jon Stewart in with certain media channels and certain partisan politicians is inaccurate. And I think Jon Stewart made a very good case as to why it's inaccurate.
Then they went back 15. Well, here it is. Here's Wallace and Chris Wallace on Viewers. Let's take a look at what they're saying.
The embarrassment is that I'm given credibility in this world because of the disappointment that the public has in what the news media does. I don't think because I have an ideological agenda.
I don't think our viewers are the least bit disappointed with us. I think our viewers think finally they're getting somebody who tells the other side of the story.
And One more example. Most consistently misinformed media viewers? The most consistently misinformed? Fox viewers. Consistently. Every poll.
Well, this is the problem with people who are in the media criticizing the media. This is why I try to avoid it, because just like when you're ever reading a paper about a baseball player trashing some other baseball player, it doesn't look right, does it?
Right.
Play ball. Do your job.
But Jon Stewart had the facts on his side, and Wallace didn't respond. Okay. To me, the most interesting part of that exchange was what Chris Wallace said. He said, what do we do at Fox? We tell the other side of the story. He said that earlier in the interview, too. He said,
that was an admission. Roger wouldn't admit.
We're the counterweight. Well, wait a second. I thought they're fair and balanced.
Well said.
He's saying
I think he shouldn't have admitted that. I think that's the truth. And by the way, Alex, I think that's what all viewers of Fox know they're watching, an alternative to other media. They don't think they're watching fair and balanced. They think that's a joke, fair and balanced.
Of course.
They're a balancing act.
Four of the five they're serious presidential contenders that are Fox News anchors. To presume that channel isn't some sort of bullpen for the Republican Party, I think, is ludicrous, and it's something that Jon Stewart didn't bring up.
Quote of the night: the bullpen for the Republican nomination. Thank you, David Corn. Thank you, Alex Wagner.